Cuyahoga County Council meeting for Tuesday, May 20th is now called to order. Andrea, would you please call the roll?
Good evening. It is now 5:32 p.m. As a reminder to all in attendance, this meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the county's YouTube page. Calling the roll, Mr. Miller.
Here.
Mr. Sweeney.
Present.
Mr. Byrne.
Here.
Mr. Gallagher.
Here.
Mr. Schran.
Here.
Ms. Conwell.
Present.
Ms. Turner.
I'm here.
Ms. Stevens.
Present.
Ms. Simon. Here. Mr. Kelly.
Here.
Council President Jones.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you, Andrea. At this time, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Before we begin our public comment period, I'd like to remind everyone that we welcome your input and respect your right to voice your opinion on the issues that matter to you. However, this council has a right and a responsibility to maintain and enforce content-neutral rules of decorum. The council's rules of decorum have been posted on the doors of council chambers, and copies of these rules are also available in the back. We expect speakers and members of the audience to abide by these rules. Over the past few meetings, we have begun to see increasing numbers of rule violations. So I'm putting everyone on notice. Individuals who flagrantly or repeatedly violate the rules of decorum will be removed from the council chambers for the remainder of the meeting and may be barred from attending future council meetings. We have a lot of people who have signed up for public comment, so we will be strictly adhering to the 3-minute time limit. When you hear the bell, conclude your comments. Everyone who signed up will have their opportunity to speak. Finally, at the request of the Sheriff's Department, we ask that attendees please take a seat during the meeting and not loiter in the aisles or at the back of the chamber. If all seats are occupied, overflow attendees can watch the meeting via the monitor directly outside the chambers. At this time, Andrea, if you will begin our public comment section.
Reverend E. Regis Bunch.
Yes, thank you, Reverend E. Regis Bunch. Just want to put you all on notice that it is a First Amendment violation, that if you punish anyone who redresses their government, and also that the minutes do not reflect any public comment. And so that is a violation of the sunshine laws as well. I do want to thank Meredith Turner for her profound comments during meeting of the whole. While you all were talking about building a building just to build a jail, she was talking about what it means to continue to jail black folks. And I'm so glad that place where I live and I pastor, my representative, has the moral compass of this council. Because it's quite a shame that black men can't stand up for our people. We're living in a time where if it wasn't for black women, who knows where we would be. And it's a shame that white folks can use black men to silence the majority. We saw in Rafah kids with their heads severed, people on fire. First thing a black man has to say this afternoon is respect the rules. No condolences, no sense of morality of what's going on in the wider world around him. Respect the rules. Rules that at one time were putting black folks in chains. Rules that said black folks at this water fountain, white folks at this, rules. Here, as if none of that matters anymore. A black man more concerned about the rules than about what's going on with black and brown people. It's a shame that people like Dr. King are gone. It's a shame people like Malcolm X are gone. Because rules said prophets like that shouldn't exist, so they assassinate them. But I'm so glad rules can't keep every activist or prophet down, because we'll keep showing up. Free Palestine, thank you.
Madam Clerk, if you read the next name.
Alyssa.
My name is Alyssa. I live in District 6. I'm here today to revisit a pressing issue I raised last meeting regarding the allocation of county funds to non-governmental organizations and nonprofits. Since April 19th, I've received no further response to my questions about this issue. I asked for a confirmation that no members of the council were there on a ribbon-cutting ceremony to kick off Welcoming Week in Cleveland. Due to their response that they were unaware of such an application, I wanted to follow up. Also seems that there were a few other members of county council members there. Apparently there's no record, you guys are unaware of this, but there was a whole week that was dedicated to this. The application that I'm referring to was signed in 2019 by, for some reason, both Armand Budish, who was rated in 2019, and Matt Carroll, who is a council member, I believe. There is a application fee that's only $9K, so I'm, again, not sure if this would be a Board of Control issue or would be with you guys, because since 2021, I'm not exactly sure how much money is being spent in this Welcoming Network membership for Welcoming America. This premium membership application was signed by two different people, which, like I said, was strange. The primary contact was supposedly Matt Carroll, and then on the line for a printed name is Armand's name, so that's strange. It's supposed to match the signature, which is Matt Carroll's. I have a copy of that if you would want to see that. The involvement of Cuyahoga County in affairs beyond its jurisdiction and its partnerships with nonprofits raise red flags regarding accountability and ethical conduct, be it at the Board of Control or Council. I'm sure you guys talk, and there's some also connections with Global Cleveland that are concerning, because this just seems like another way of funneling money to interests that aren't helping Cuyahoga County. You are county council, you are the Cuyahoga County, Board of Control, whatever it may be. Your jurisdiction is Cuyahoga County, so I urge you to focus on that. And if we have to support this immigration to Cuyahoga County, we need a whole office dedicated to foreign affairs. How is this beneficial to actual Cuyahoga County taxpayers, and why would them coming here be encouraged if it just costs us more? Thank you.
John Eckerly.
Eckerly?
He's coming from the back.
Greetings. The first thing I wanted to do was invite you all to
Mr. Eckerly, if you could state your name for the record, please.
John Eckerly,
Thank you.
is invite you all to Slow Roll Cleveland's bike ride on next Monday at 7 o'clock. The last time we did this ride, there was over 900 people on bikes riding through the city of Cleveland. Most diverse group I've ever been part of. A group that brings people together. I have schedules for you guys, or anybody in the audience. It's 8 miles an hour, which is slow enough that you can talk to your neighbor and talk to people that are on the porches that we go by. You can also, it's easy. It comes back to the same park. So it's a big circle. We've been doing it for over 10 years. The second thing I wanted to bring up was, I'm sure you guys know that according to state law, you guys have to have a financial investment policy, a written financial policy. And I don't know about the disinvestment things, but I do know that you have the opportunity going forward to change or modify your county investment policy so that we not in the same, having the same problems that we're having right now. And so I wanted you to use your power to look into that so that I don't think we need to be involved in other countries' bonds. I don't think that's necessary. There's plenty here in the United States to be able to to direct our investments into. And that's all. If you need any schedules for Slow Roll Cleveland, we do it every Monday at 7 o'clock.
Sorry, Jefferson Park.
Yes, yes.
All right, thank you, Mr. Eckerly.
400 people.
Thank you.
Lou?
Lou?
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
We just had a wonderful long weekend. Unfortunately, I just heard council member Mr. Miller got bitten by the yard guest, a raccoon. Well, so most of the people here probably they will have enough luck to live in a place. Maybe they do have a little yard, maybe not that big, but still. Some people only have a front yard, some people have a backyard, and well, some people are lucky they have a left yard and a right yard as well. So now let's see. With this particular yard guest, Mr. Miller will be very busy thinking about something he can do to prevent the same situation happen again to himself and to his loved ones at home. Now, same thing, the county, we have different yards too. Right now, one issue particularly, I will address our homeless issues. The unhoused is not in, you don't want it in your backyard, but actually we are not only in your backyard, we are at the front yard, left yard, right yard, whatever yard you can get. So, should we spend time and energy to worry about something like a raccoon still, but across the town? Or we should take care of the raccoon in our yards, at least on our street block first. Yes, we do need to invest something to prevent this raccoon being naughty again, but at the same time, it's good to know your neighbor across the town also having the issue, but you have to test to do certain things to make sure the method you have actually is working for your own yard. Then you can put it on the internet, whatever it suggests other people to do, right? So with the financial investment a county can do, I think the point is you want to invest on something which will take care of all your yards first, to make sure you have a funding. Then you can also work on the things you have heart for. However, when it's so far away, do you really know what people will use your investment do? You don't. You can only do things in your own yard. You know the bait you put on is not poisonous for your own pets. You know the trap you put on your children, your grandchildren will not get trapped in there. But can you really know the neighbor across the town will have the same luck? Probably not. So please,
Thank you, Lou.
all of you, think again
Thank you.
how we should
Thank you.
invest our
Your time
county.
is up.
Thank you.
Gehan Fazio. Gehan
State your
Fazio.
name for the record.
Bas Mohammed.
No, it's Gehan Fazio.
Who? It's me. Oh, I'm sorry. That's okay. Good afternoon. My name is Jihan Fazio. This is my first time speaking at one of these meetings. I'm a Palestinian American, and I have 3 beautiful Palestinian children that are amazing human beings. Do you know how fortunate enough we are in Cleveland to have an incredible healthcare system? We have so many resources for any type of injury someone can acquire. I work in the healthcare system as a registered nurse. Not just a registered nurse, but a burn ICU nurse here in Cleveland. In fact, we have one of the only few accredited burn centers in the state of Ohio. I believe the next one is Cincinnati. Have you ever been burned yourselves? Probably yes. So you know burn injuries are extremely painful, correct? It is a very difficult specialty, but is rewarding watching people overcome some of the worst physical and emotional trauma that they can ever go through. My question is, why is the world so quiet when innocent Palestinian babies are beheaded and burnt to death while they sleep in tents in designated safe zones from the burning, melting plastic? Why is the world quiet? Do you know that when a person sustains a burn, it continues to cause damage for 72 hours? Did you know that burns require daily dressing changes? If you don't do these dressing changes, you leave these people, what? They're going to get infections. They're going to die. Should children really? We can leave the adults out of it, but should children really have to be suffering like that? Our tax dollars are funding a country that has completely destroyed the healthcare system in Gaza. From white phosphorus to blast from missiles to burning, again, of the plastic tents melting at these children's skin in these safe zones by deliberate bombs.
Thank you.
How do you get
Your time
these
has
burns
ended.
treated?
Thank you.
Think about that.
Khalid Hamdallah.
My name is Khalid Hamdallah. Good evening, Council President. I'm here representing the Palestinian Youth Movement and along with the Cleveland Palestine Advocacy Committee. As a lifelong Cuyahoga County resident, I came today to talk to you about rules. We've spent a lot of time talking about rules, rules of decorum, rules of etiquette. It seems to mean a lot to you, Council President. So my question is, do you really care about rules, or is it that you only care about order? Because this council body has invested and reinvested in a country that continues to violate international law, that has no care for rules. Prior to October, there have been UN infractions, ICJ infractions, and then since then, there have been even more. Plausible genocide is how South Africa characterized what's going on right now. The so-called red line that our own Biden administration put in place has been crossed and crossed again. That's how we got the burning this weekend in Rafah, which a couple weeks ago, President Biden came out and said, Rafah has my red line, we won't support this. So my question is, do you care about rules or do you care about order? Because why are we continuing to fund a country, a foreign government that so clearly doesn't care about us, doesn't care about our rules, doesn't care about international law? So there's a disconnect, and I'm trying to figure it out. I want to work with you guys. I understand that we are asking for a lot. We are going to turn the system on its head, and that is the goal. Help us help you get there. It's either going to be with you or without you. So, again, is it rules or is it order? Because I'm a big proponent of rules. I think they help societies prosper. But if we're worried about clapping and not about children dying to our government-funded bombs, then what are we doing here? That's not, you don't care about rules. I'm not trying to personally attack you. At the same time, we have family members dying every day because we have people in office across this country. I don't want to say the H word, but they're being hypocrites. They're pretending to care about rules when they don't. They just want the easy path forward. I believe somebody said something about momentum, and it's just the momentum of how things have always been. We don't care how things have always been. Things are going to be different going forward. Look around this room. It's not just Palestinians anymore. It's not just Arabs. It's not just Muslim Americans. We have shed the issue of electability and of public, agreement. So help us help you get to where we're going. We'll figure something out. That's all I got. Thank you.
Sean Abbott Clafter.
Good evening. My name is Sean Abbott Clafter, and I live in Cleveland Heights. We come here in a spirit of love, respect for life, and collaboration. Our intent is to partner with you to end Cuyahoga County's funding of Israel's slaughter of our Palestinian brothers and sisters. The level of violence perpetuated by the Israeli Defense Forces has been so horrific that the International Court of Justice has deemed it a plausible genocide. They have issued a legally binding order to stop the current offensive in Rafah. We have shared 3 common sense demands with each of you. 1, we demand a non-investment ordinance prohibiting the investment of county funds in bonds issued by the government of Israel. 2, we demand a transparent review of the due diligence process that was conducted before investing in Israel bonds. 3, we demand the formation of a community investment review board. The board would be tasked with ensuring our investments align with the values and interests of Cuyahoga County residents. In the county's 2024-2025 biennial budget, it outlines the priorities Cuyahoga County will use to guide our next 5-year strategic plan. Under the strategic priority titled Safety and Justice, one of our goals is to, quote, prioritize gun violence prevention. In the fall of 2022, in Cuyahoga County, I witnessed my 12-year-old neighbor get shot in his driveway. I watched him bleed on the concrete while he waited for the ambulance to arrive. We too want peace, safety, and justice in Cuyahoga County. Every bullet fired in this county is one too many. In a News 5 Cleveland report on gun violence from March 11th, Cleveland Police Deputy Chief Ali Pillow is quoted as saying the police department plans to reduce gun violence by tracking, quote, the weapons themselves, shell casings, any evidence related to those guns, sometimes bullet fragments. Okay. In Gaza, over the last 8 months, we have watched the Israeli Defense Forces commit the most unspeakable acts of violence again and again. According to the UN, over 36,000 Palestinians have been killed and over 80,000 have been injured. On Sunday, Israel fired missiles into a tent camp of refugees in Rafah. Dozens were killed, including many who burned alive in their tents. How many bullets did our $16 million in Israel bonds buy? How many bodies have we left bleeding on the ground? How many shell casings would we find in Gaza? And we know exactly who the killer is. And still, we are lending them the money they need to keep doing the killing. We hold the following investments in Israel bonds: $3 million worth of bonds maturing in March 2025, $2 million worth of bonds maturing in December 2025, $5 million worth of bonds maturing in December 2026, $3 million worth of bonds maturing in December 2028, and $3 million of bonds maturing in March 2029. The only conclusion is that our commitment to violence prevention ends when the shooters can afford to offer us interest on our money.
State your name for the record again. State your name. I know.
Sean
Say it one more.
McClefter. Nice to meet you, sir.
Madam Clerk, read the next name. Madam Clerk, read the next name.
Alekos Mahramas.
Hello, my name is Alekos Mahramas, and I'm not Palestinian. I'm just human. I am first-generation Greek American, and I'm here to tell you a story my Yiya, my grandmother, passed down to me. See, Yiya grew up in occupied Greece during World War II, and the only reason she survived to tell me about it, the only reason my family line is still here, the only reason I stand before you, is because my great-grandmother boiled the weeds in the backyard to feed her children. My Yiya was one of 11 siblings. She lost a brother to a Turkish bomb that stole his life as well as the lives of 2 other children. And when Yiya told me these stories, it was like a trance came over her. Her eyes glazed over and she'd stare 1,000 yards into 1,000 lifetimes of suffering she personally endured before the age of 8. Now imagine being a mother in occupied Palestine, enduring a genocide so atrocious there aren't even weeds or yards left. How would you feed your family? The occupation has decimated human life, infrastructure, the environment, and even the so-called safe zone in Rafah is ablaze. You, I am looking at you. You have the opportunity to invest county money ethically. I implore you to do so instead of condemning millions of innocent civilians, children, to torture, beheadings, being raped to death like a pregnant woman in Palestine. Bombing so severe they expel fetuses from their mother's womb. And every other evil that the occupation is funding with our money. These are just a few examples that I have personally witnessed from videos coming out of Gaza. There are so many atrocities that Palestinians have burned into their psyche, and that is if they survive. Defund the violent occupation. Divest from any institution with ties to Israel. And to our martyrs, Eonia imimni. May your memory be eternal. Nobody's free until everyone's free. Lift up your voice for humanity. In our lifetime, Palestine.
Time has ended. Your time has ended. Your time has ended.
Noel Nasser.
Noel Nasser, come forward, please.
Noel Nasser.
My name is Noel Nasser. I am an organizer with the Palestinian Youth Movement. Many of us are coming here today after attending the People's Conference for Palestine, where over 4,000 plus individuals from all walks of life convened to build connections, learn from history, and discuss our strategic goals to push the liberation movement forward. It was a re-energizing and powerful experience to hear from the brilliant minds in our world and be a part of a broader community dedicated to collective learning and cultivating hope to bring back to our respective communities. On the last day of the conference, however, before it even came to a close, we received the breaking news of U.S.-made weapons raining down on Palestinians sheltering in Rafah. Palestinians who were already forcibly displaced, living in makeshift tents, in a zone that was designated safe by Israel themselves. People being burned alive, their tents melting on them. Beheaded babies, parents screaming around, holding their beheaded children, running in circles, unsure of what to do or where to turn, surrounded and engulfed by flames. These horrors have occurred for months and years, but are more visible now and documented than have ever been seen before. It was a solemn reminder of why we convened in the first place. We have heard the same cycle over and over of Israel ordering evacuations in Gaza to deemed safe zones, only for those same safe zones to be brutally demolished. When does it become clear that there are no safe zones in Gaza, that there are no safe zones in Palestine? How evil is it to bomb people already living in a hell, starving, forcibly removed from their homes? Netanyahu, from the start of this current genocide, has made his intentions clear, intentions that are the same as Israel's mission and existence, the ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian people. But what scares me more than Israel's evilness and level of depravity is the moral apathy of the West and the silence from individuals like yourselves who show little to no concern at the horrific loss of life in the most tortured of ways and instead carry on like everything is normal, justifying this as self-defense and the price of war. Genocide is not war. There is no coming back from what Israel has done, and there is no solution forward but the abolishment of imperialism, colonialism, and the Zionist project. Each day we wake up, we have the invitation to ask ourselves, what actions are we taking to grow as individuals and for the betterment of society? And that is because the struggle for liberation and freedom is a collective struggle. Divesting from Israel bonds is a divestment from genocide in line with this struggle. And I would encourage you, implore you, to reflect on your position in this world and where your morality falls. Biden has made clear for the past 8 months that he has no red line, and so I ask this council, where is yours?
Janos Yalix. Janos Yalix.
Present.
Now, my name is Janos Jalic. Now, before I begin, I would like to address a previous incident with an older gentleman over here who threatened to have me thrown out of council and banned from future meetings for the displayment of flags. Now, keep in mind, I've never brought a Nazi flag to this meeting. I've never brought a Ku Klux Klan flag to this meeting. You know what I brought? A Palestinian flag. You are bringing out rules and decorum while people are dying. Screw your rules. And I'll bring a lawsuit if I have to. My name is Janos Jalic. I work here in Cleveland, and I am an active citizen of the United States. I wish to not be complicit in genocide. I am engaging in an act of protest that some might consider extreme or unusual, but compared to what Palestinians have suffered at the hands of their colonizers for the past 76 years, it is not extreme or unusual. This is what our ruling class has simply decided will be normal. I have come here bound in zip ties to talk to you about the plight of Palestinians interred in the SC Timon camp in the Negev desert. The Slovak Jew Rodolf Verba exposed Auschwitz 80 years ago. I am simply here to continue his work. Multiple Israeli whistleblowers have come forward about this camp where they describe inmates bound in zip ties and blindfolded, forced to hold their hands up for hours, denied good clothes, limited only to gray tracksuits and diapers. A CNN article quotes one of the whistleblowers. We were told they were not allowed to move. They should sit upright. They're not allowed to talk, not allowed to peek under their blindfold. I am here at Cuyahoga County Council tonight to remind you all that this is what your millions of dollars in Israeli bonds are funding. They are funding the firebombing of Rafah. They are funding the decapitation of Palestinian infants. They are funding Nova Auschwitz. I have no time, or patience, or respect for people who are funding Nazis. Now, before I must go, I would like to read out the solo poem that I wrote to commemorate the People's Commencement held on May 19th at Wade's Lagoon. I'd like to dedicate to Hind Rajab, my comrades at Hind's Oval, and to the class of Gaza 2024, many of whom are no longer with us. We made our own heaven. For little Hind, we never made to 7. From crying in a car with dead faces, we carried her to better places. She ran with us, carrying a wreath of poppy flowers. We played with her for all our hours. For 11 days, we made our valiant camp, valiantly trying to stop Kaler's rubber stamp. Eventually, we were forced to leave, but we swore we would continue to heave until we see Palestine's freedom, see all dancing in the kingdom, not split in parts of 2 or 3, but united from river to sea. And so in late May, we returned and refused to see our demands burned. We felt unworthy, Caliburn and the stone, weeping at the deaths that consumed every phone. We erected our own monument, and we made our own commencement. A monument to humanity to stop the world's vanity. Happily, I shared my purple blades, trying to stop the air raids. In this, we won our own victory, holding above our heads solidarity. You have $3 million in Israeli bonds. I recommend that you get rid of them along with your stupid rules about signs, banners, flags, and applause. We will sue you. Free Palestine!
Youssef Nasser. Youssef Nasser.
My name is Youssef Nasser, and I am an organizer with the Palestinian Youth Movement. When I gave my last public comment in front of this council a few weeks ago, I shared information from reports issued by Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch that detail the many ways in which the Israeli government enforces an apartheid system over all Palestinian people living between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea. Both of those reports were published before October of 2023, and many other human rights organizations have come to the same conclusion. Israel, whether in times of so-called peace or in times of war, is an apartheid state. It is this fact that Israel is an apartheid state that begs the question, why does this council continue to invest our tax dollars in Israel? Surely we all understand that apartheid, which is defined as a system of institutional discrimination and oppression based on race or ethnicity, is a serious human rights violation and crime against humanity that is prohibited by international law, talking about rules. Cuyahoga County Council knows this. Your predecessors on county council divested from the apartheid system in South Africa on March 12, 1984, when the County Investment Board prohibited investments in any banks lending to the South African government. Pleading ignorance or a lack of precedent, therefore, in this case, doesn't hold, and it fails to explain and justify why this council continues investing our tax dollars in the apartheid state of Israel. 40 years later, the responsibility to uphold the values of the people of Cuyahoga County now falls on your shoulders. We demand that you divest all public funds currently invested in the state of Israel, and we demand that you enact a prohibition on any future investments in Israel or any other apartheid regimes. Apartheid, you see, is a serious crime against humanity in and of itself, and yet as I speak to you today, in this very moment, an even more heinous crime against humanity is being committed by Israel against the Palestinian people. This one is referred to as genocide. You should be well aware that Israel is being charged with genocide at the International Court of Justice, the top court of the United Nations. Only days ago, on Friday, May 24th, the ICJ ordered Israel to immediately halt its military assault on the city of Rafah in southern Gaza. And a few days prior to that, the International Criminal Court announced that it was seeking arrest warrants for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Defense Minister Yoav Gallant for crimes against humanity in Gaza. Israel continues to ignore and openly flaunt international law, and mere days after the ICJ ruling carried out yet another brutal bombing campaign in Rafah on Sunday, May 26th. They killed 45 people at least, 23 of whom were women and children and elderly. Enough is enough. The human rights violations and crimes against humanity being committed by Israel are undeniable. The time for talking is over. We demand that you immediately divest all public funds from Israel, and until that happens, we're not going anywhere.
Tyler Golias. Tyler Golias.
I'm Tyler Golias. I'm from North Olmsted, District 1, meaning Mr. Kelly there represents me. Not part of any organization, just a concerned Cuyahoga County resident. Mr. Sweeney of District 3, good to see you back. I couldn't help but notice you left in the middle of public comment last meeting. And sometimes it's hard for us to expect our words to be heard by our representatives, especially when they're not
Excuse me,
present.
please direct all your comments to
We'll
me.
chat about it.
Okay,
And
okay.
let's not respond back to the
Well,
one-way
I'm not trying to single him out. I mean, I saw you up there playing Duck, Duck, Goose over there last time I was here talking, so I don't know. I'm just saying, respect goes both ways, okay? Ireland, Spain, Norway, they all recognize Palestinian statehood since we last met. And you might find this kind of interesting. All these two-state solutioners lost their mind because all these countries had the audacity to acknowledge two states. Sounds to me like these two-state solutioners don't want a two-state solution very much at all. That's not why I came here, just food for thought. I'm here to talk about the county's Israeli bonds. You know, if you don't care about morals and all you care about is return on investment, you can do better than Israeli bonds. I hear the ROI on fentanyl production is crazy good right now. Oh, maybe we could invest that money with some human traffickers. I hear they make a killing. Hey, if it were 1941, you could have invested in German bonds. That would have been a great investment, just a booming economy. A startup nation if I've ever seen one. Hey, if you think my facetiousness around 1941 German bonds is too much, how do you think the monetary supporters of Israel are going to look in the books 80 years from now? Rob Loftus hit on this last time, and so many people have as well. There aren't any investment opportunities here in the county that you'd rather be spending that money on. God, no wonder all those buildings out there are mostly empty. Startup Nation, my ass. Y'all didn't even try to build a startup county, at least. Lou actually told you a couple meetings ago that the Women's Center didn't even have suitable toilet paper. Would it be responsible for me to throw all of my money into an IRA so I can't even put food on the table for my family? We laugh at libertarian weirdos who want small government and to eliminate all taxes. But when you tax us and then refuse to use that money in a meaningful way, libertarians can take that and twist it in a way to make it seem like they have a point to the working class. Our tax money should be coming back to us in ways of bettering our lives and making things easier on ourselves, not for you to gamble with in the world economy. Look at our county's declining population. No wonder people are leaving. The county doesn't even believe in itself. It's got its investments on the other side of the world. Israeli citizens have socialized health care, for crying out loud. How about instead of throwing money over to them, you help us out over here? No reinvestments, transparency, community review, free Palestine.
Michael Grimm. Michael Grimm. Michael Grimm.
Good evening, Council. My name is Michael Grimm. This is also my first time, so if I'm a little nervous, that's why. I'm a former U.S. Air Force and a former student at Case Western Reserve University School of Law. I say former and not an alumni because currently the university is holding my degree. They're holding my degree because of my participation or alleged participation in the Hinzovel encampment that you heard referred to earlier. About a month ago, as of yesterday, we spent 11 days protesting the university's investments that they have in Israel, asking for them to disclose and divest from the state of Israel. In response to that, me and a cohort of other students have been told that we can no longer return to campus indefinitely as of right now. We were also not allowed to participate in graduation, and we've had our degrees held. For some people, it may be a temporary hold, but for me and other law students, this is a very serious problem because the Ohio Bar needs that as soon as possible. That's my usual sales pitch on that. The reason that it's relevant for this council is because I noticed that on at least today's agenda, you have resolution 2024-0172, in which you will be granting or discussing granting some money to Case Western University. Because Case Western is a private institution, they feel that the First Amendment and due process under the 14th Amendment doesn't apply to them. And we can debate the legality of whether that applies or not, but I do know that the values instilled in those amendments and in our Constitution apply to all of us, and it also applies to this council. So, in short, what I ask this council to do, much like many of the people here are asking you to divest from Israel, is to extend that also to the institutions among us who do not live up to these standards under the Constitution of free expression and due process when it applies to Palestinian voices and their allies. Yeah, I'm nervous as hell, and I yield the rest of my time. Thank you.
Kobe Pickler. Kobe Pickler. Kobe Picker.
My name is Kobe Picker. I'm a member of the Democratic Socialists of America, which is one of several organizations with members in the local Palestine Coalition that are here today. I've lived in wards 11, 6, 8, 3, and 7. I now live in Ward 10. I went to Mandel Jewish Day School. At the time, it was called Agnon in Ward 11. At Agnon and other institutions which served Jewish youth, I was taught that Zionism should be a core part of my identity. But they also taught me the Jewish values of pursuing justice and protecting life. And it is those values that have compelled me to personally divest from the political ideology that is Zionism, a bankrupt idea which promises to offer safety to Jews around the world, but instead offers only death and destruction. It is those same Jewish values that compel me to speak to you today. I thought at my comment I should talk about democracy, responsible stewardship, about the role of elected officials and community leaders. But the dark night of these months have blackened my eyes. I am sure there are no lofty ideals floating around the halls of Cuyahoga County Council. It appears that this is a body convened to move money around on the basis of your credentials as great money movers. To you, it seems that where the money goes is incidental. Where the money ought to go is towards our needs, but instead it is tied up in Israel bonds, as I understand, to the tune of $16 million. Israel bonds are unrestricted loans to the Israeli government. The most recent $3 million was invested under our noses to an entity that had already been placed under investigation by the International Court of Justice on the basis of their plausibly committing a genocide. We need safe and affordable housing for the 15,000 families waiting for housing vouchers in Cuyahoga County. Instead, our money is currently tied up, destroying tens of thousands of homes belonging to families in Gaza, a situation the UN describes as unprecedented since World War II. We need access to food and water. As our utility rates and grocery bills climb, our dollars are cutting off electricity to water treatment plants throughout Gaza, forcing 70% of people to drink contaminated water. In early May, our tax dollars sent northern Gazans into a full-blown famine, and conditions have only spiraled out since then. As I understand, Israel is the only country our county has its money in. Please divest that money. Provide us with assurances that you will never again use our money to fund violence and destruction. Pass an ordinance that prohibits reinvestment into Israel. Thank you.
Megan Rose.
My name is Megan Rose, and I've lived in Cuyahoga County for over 20 years of my life. I'm a member of Cleveland DSA, and we're part of the coalition of organizations advocating for Palestinian liberation. Today, I'm here to express my deep disappointment with the body that sits before me. It is baffling that council members believe the public will just buy their hypocrisy. I'm not afraid to say the H word here. I won't name names because I learned last time that will get me reprimanded. So I will let you know that I live in a county district whose number is greater than 10 and less than 12. This particular counselor allegedly is a proponent of sustainability and has worked to make our new county government accessible and transparent and to restore public trust. What does it mean if we live in a county where we promote green jobs, yet we're comfortable with our political allies dropping the equivalent of 2 nuclear bombs within the span of 1 month? Do you think dropping 2,000-pound unguided bombs on a densely populated strip of land every day for 235 days is good for the environment? No, it doesn't impact drinking water, soil, and air quality, of course. How about the decades-long razing of farmlands and orchards? Destruction of solar panels and greenhouses? Probably good for the climate situation. Not only is my council member a green cheerleader, but they're also a huge fan of this thing called ethics, boasting the creation of the strongest ethics policy in the state. I don't know if y'all knew that. Fellas, is it unethical to use racist dog whistles on your Facebook posts, casting an entire ethnic group as uncivilized? Nah, didn't think so. I'm also not sure how ethical it is to refer to one tragic event as a brutal massacre, but ignore 76 years of brutal massacres of another group of people. Israel has bombed Rafah 60 times within the 48 hours following the ICJ order to halt all military operations. People awoke in their tents to the sounds and smell of their family members burning alive. My council member put out a statement in October, but I have not seen one since then. I reject the notion this council has taken any meaningful action to restore public trust. The decision-making process this body uses, especially for foreign investments, is an opaque black box, and your actions do not align with your purported values. But I wouldn't be here today if I didn't think y'all are capable of change or didn't have the power to make a serious impact. Today, I present you with an opportunity to earn our trust. You don't get to tell us when the public trust is gained. You can affirm that you stand against war crimes and human rights abuse by introducing an ordinance that explicitly prohibits reinvestment of county funds and bonds issued by the Israeli government. Demonstrate your love of ethics by producing a report outlining the due diligence process that was conducted before investing and reinvesting. And
That is your time. Thank you.
Lisa
Review Board,
Tan.
Free Palestine.
Madam Clerk, repeat the name. You can state your name.
Good evening. My name is Lisa Tan. I live in Cleveland Heights, and I am a member of the Cleveland Democratic Socialists of America. My request here today is, of course, that you accept the demands presented by the Cleveland Palestine Coalition to prohibit reinvestment by the county in Israeli bonds. I have lived in Cuyahoga County now for 12 years. The community that I have found here has often led me to believe that my family might be safe in this place. This could be my home, and there is a future to be had. I understand now that I am not safe here. A culmination of traumatizing experiences with a growing police presence, the failure of our local government here in this room to be accountable to the needs of its constituents, and the cruelty of institutions like Case Western Reserve University punishing its own students for exercising their rights is all terribly revealing to me. I wonder, with all the security in this building, who is truly safe here? I know that it isn't me, or my family, or my loved ones. There is so much support from our government for more cops and more jails, and so few people that this actually protects, and suddenly I know that it isn't me. I understand that it is an extraordinary privilege that many people do not have to enjoy for so long the illusion that I am safe. I no longer believe that this is true. I am so scared. How can we feel safe when the council members who demand our trust, each and every one of you sitting here in front of me, is willing to support a horrific genocide? What will you allow to happen to me? Even now that you've had to look at my face and hear me speak, and acknowledge now that I am human, it terrifies me to see your composure here today. As you can see, I am not composed. We have heard my fellow community members share unspeakable horrors that I cannot bear to repeat. And you are silent. Where is the empathy? I'm looking for it. I implore you to consider this question: what will be the breaking point for you? How many dead children is enough dead children? The answer is already so high. There are two options left now, You are either enabling the mass murder of kids or you are not. I am asking you please to do the right thing and agree to the demands presented by the Palestine Coalition. Thank you.
Tianmei Shah.
Good evening. My name is Tanmay Shah, and I'm a resident of District 2. I'm a member of Cleveland DSA. I'd like to address complicit Chris today. When we first came before this body, we identified $3 million worth of bonds that were going to mature. A decision needed to be made. Would our county invest further in an apartheid state committing genocide, or would we choose to invest in our own communities at home? The county treasurer, at the direction of complicit Chris, reinvested in the bombing of innocent children. This is my time.
And we must be respectful, too.
I'm addressing someone who is before me.
Keep your comments to me.
The county treasurer, at the direction of complicit Chris, reinvested in the bombing of innocent children, mothers, and fathers. Why would you do this, Chris? What are your values? Perhaps we can find an answer if we look back to 2017. Before he became complicit in genocide, Chris visited historic Palestine on a sponsored trip. He was the executive director of a nonprofit that was tasked with developing one of the most segregated areas of Cuyahoga County, University Circle. He had the opportunity to see firsthand the stark reality of life under military rule for Palestinians. In a reflection that was published later, complicit Chris was asked, is there anything specifically you hope to implement back home as a result of this trip? And he responded, and he indicated that he looked forward to having a conversation about the history of the neighborhood through the lens of people talking about their families. Are you willing to talk to the Palestinians in this room about their families today, Chris? He mentioned the town of Beit Shean, where he saw family photo albums and talked about how important it was for them to see the history. Did you bother asking the history of that town you visited? For those of you that may not know, Beit Shean was known as Bisan before 1948. Zionist paramilitary terror group ethnically cleansed the town of Palestinians and renamed it. This is just another way Zionists have been erasing Palestine identity for over 75 years. So what exactly did you bring back to implement at home, Chris? Was it more segregation until our communities are completely separate in a system of apartheid like Israel has done? Or did you bring back more discriminatory and racist policing? Is that why you sent your county sheriff, Harold Prettle, and Deputy Sheriff Aaron Reese on a free trip to Israel just a few weeks ago? So they could import better ways to kill black and brown people here? Perhaps we've been asking the wrong questions, Chris. Perhaps the only questions we should be asking is how much your values are worth.
Respectful, again, I say respectful. The name calling is not productive. Name calling is not productive. Madam Clerk, you can bring the next name.
Nima Hamami.
Good afternoon. My name is Nima Homami. I am a resident of Strongsville. I'm going to be speaking to you today about why the county should be divesting from Israel bonds, specifically the economic arguments for it. But before I begin, I want to preface this by saying that what Israel is doing in Gaza is a genocide. And I implore you all to consider the moral implications of providing this Israeli government with the US dollars it is using to pay for US bombs that it is dropping on Gaza right now to perpetrate this genocide. However, assuming for a moment that we live in a world where morality means nothing, there are real economic reasons why we don't want to have county funds invested in Israel bonds. So I'm going to start by talking about Israel's credit rating. For those who don't know, Israel's credit rating is a measure of its credit worthiness, which is the ability of a country to repay its sovereign debt obligations. So since October, two separate credit rating agencies, S&P and Moody's, these are the top two global credit rating agencies, have downgraded Israel's long-term credit rating. And all three major credit rating agencies have assigned Israel a negative outlook for its long-term credit rating. What does that mean? That means it's not looking positive. Crucial sectors of Israel's economy, including its tourism sector, its construction sector, and its agricultural sector, are in a crisis right now because of the war. Unprecedented levels of borrowing by the Israeli government to finance its war against Gaza have occurred. According to Professor of Public Policy at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, Professor Momi Dahan, Israel's budget deficit this year is projected to be $50 billion. That is about 10% of its GDP. This doesn't even capture the economic impacts in Israel due to this war. People in Israel losing their jobs, companies cutting ties with Israel, freight companies refusing to ship goods to Israel because of the security risks, or of major trade partners like Turkey that have currently implemented an economic embargo against Israel because of its conduct in this war. Israel has become a global pariah state, not unlike apartheid South Africa. So what I want to say here is that, in addition to that, global public opinion has turned against Israel. Regional public opinion has never been more hostile to Israel. Anti-Israel forces are now stronger than ever before. They have caused thousands of Israeli casualties. They have precipitated the evacuation of 200,000 Israelis living in the border areas. Israel's regional allies, Egypt and Jordan, are faced with daily protests and a growing armed insurgency over their country's support for Israel. It's very clear that this is a very unstable region of the world, and it's because of Israel's genocidal conduct of this war in Gaza. And so, with all of this instability, with all the existential crises...
Steve Norris.
Time has ended.
My name is Steve Norris, and I'm calling again for divestment from Israeli bonds. People have talked a lot about Rafah, and I wanted to highlight one person's experience in this. Ibrahim is a Palestinian who has Down syndrome, and there's a GoFundMe for him, and I just wanted to read an update on it. It said, we never expected, even in our worst nightmares, to endure what we experienced during that devastating war. The family's displacement from one place to another, moving from one area to another in Gaza, was not the only painful thing. It was accompanied by hunger, thirst, and immense psychological pressure due to the bombing, fear, and terror. The displacement wasn't the only hardship we faced. The catastrophe was in the destruction of our 3-story house, each floor measuring 250 square meters. This house wasn't just a passing image. It was a big dream we all worked tirelessly to achieve over many years. It was the result of years of toil, hardship, and patience, the culmination of more than 30 years of hard work or more. It was the safe haven for our hearts and dreams. Laughter and smiles used to spread throughout it, shaded by lush palm trees in the house's garden with grapevines and fruits. The destruction of the house was a severe shock that affected us all. Its effects were evident on all of us, especially on my son Ibrahim, who has special needs. He used to request his school clothes, books, and old pictures morning and evening, to the point where he started experiencing episodes of crying and seizures, which required monitoring by specialized doctors. Rebuilding the house with its beautiful garden is considered a significant achievement at a time when we are striving towards sustainable stability among the conditions of war. We see in this project a living example of the cooperation we aspire to and appreciate with friends from different parts. Our goal is to bring back life to our beautiful home, not only because it's a humanitarian need and a fundamental right, but also because it's a necessary step for us to emerge from amidst the ashes. Thank you, and please divest from Israel bonds.
Rachel Milner.
Good evening. My name is Rachel Milner, and I'm with Cleveland DSA, and I'm here to request that the Cuyahoga County Council divest from Israel bonds. So during the last almost 8 months, as Israel is carrying out what the International Court of Justice has found to be a plausible genocide in Gaza, this council has chosen to invest $16 million of taxpayer money in Israel bonds. Since October 7th, 2023, we have seen countless horrifying images of crimes Israel has committed in Gaza day after day. Israel has killed over 36,000 people in Gaza, including more than 15,000 children. Over 80,000 people have been wounded and 10,000 are missing. Israel has also targeted aid workers, healthcare workers, and UN staff members, killing hundreds of them. In addition to this, Israel has starved the Gazan population by blocking food aid. Israel has also displaced the majority of the people in Gaza. 1.4 million of them, including 600,000 children, are currently in Rafah, where Israel is bombing them in tents, even after being ordered to end its military operations there by the International Court of Justice. Israel is doing all of this with the help of material support from the U.S., including $16 million of Cuyahoga County taxpayer money invested in Israel bonds by this council without our input. $16 million, which could fund housing or education or healthcare here, is instead funding occupation, apartheid, and genocide in Palestine. For these reasons, we have 3 requests to make to this council. The first is for a non-reinvestment ordinance. We request an ordinance that explicitly prohibits the reinvestment of county funds and bonds issued by the Israeli government. The second request is for a transparent review of the due diligence process, including a detailed report outlining the due diligence process that was conducted before investing in Israel bonds. We deserve to know how decisions about where our tax money is going are made. The third request is for a community investment review board. We request a review board be formed to assess the impact and implications of current and future county investments to ensure that they align with the values of Cuyahoga County residents. It's time for Cuyahoga County to stop funding genocide. Thank you.
Dallas Foreman.
Good evening. My name is Dallas Ekman. I'm a member of the Party for Socialism and Liberation, and I'm here today to talk about promises. Let's start with the first promise that you all made when you walked into council today. You started with the Pledge of Allegiance, which I find very interesting because that ends with justice and liberty for all. And you'll notice many of the people didn't stand behind you because many of them don't believe that you believe that. You put your hand to your chest while 6 weeks people came here begging for attention to their dead loved ones. That's a promise you told them. Another promise is that this county is quick to put money in another country. We came here, and within a week, you snapped your fingers and made it so that $3 million was reinvested in a foreign country. So you're quick. You can make decisions. You can make them happen quickly. But not if they're Palestinians that are asking for it. And you've made many other promises that the purpose of this county room is primarily decorum. It's not the service of the people behind you. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here this week. Let's talk about some other promises from Israel. Promises to be the only democracy in the Middle East, despite the fact that over 3 million Palestinians that work in their country cannot vote. Let's talk about their promise to be a strong economy, while we have told you week after week that they are collapsing, that they are being sanctioned off by multiple countries. We are not the only country in the world, ladies and gentlemen. There are hundreds of countries that are standing every day. Do you watch the news? I would hope so, as people of this county. Another promise is that they'll only target Hamas. Have you watched the news? As they have bombed children, families, it is no longer an excuse you can say that Hamas hides behind children and families. You know it's a lie. You can either get on the right side of history or get out of this room. Finally, I'll bring it to my promises and the promises of the people in this room, as I brought up 2 weeks ago. We are consistent. We will not go away. We prove that at Cleveland City Council, and you only give us bigger numbers. This crowd is diverse. It represents everybody. You have seen black people, white people, Asian people, women, children, people who are old, people who are young. We will only grow bigger in our numbers. And I promised you we would not go away because we are only getting bigger and stronger. As the bombing, as the genocide in Rafah continues, do you think your job is going to get easy? I think it can be. And it's one decision you need to make.
Rob Loftus. Rob Loftus.
Hi, my name is Rob Loftus. I appreciate the shout out from the previous speaker. It's good to know that someone is listening. I wasn't always sure that the people in front are listening, but at least people back there listen. I'm certain Lou feels the same way about their shout out. So I live in Bay Village, so Patrick Kelly is my council person. I spoke here 2 weeks ago asking the county to divest from Gaza. I want to reiterate the things I said then, but perhaps do it a little quicker so that I don't get cut off. The most important thing I want to reiterate, though, is the humanitarian aspect of this. I want to stress a value that I think we all share, and that is a basic sense of human compassion. 35,000 people are dead. I was Googling last night to find out exactly how many of those were children, but I got all sorts of different contradictory numbers, and a lot of them were outdated. Maybe 15,000? Given the scale of the destruction, it's amazing that there's any official body left able to estimate the number of the dead. Everyone is displaced, everyone is starving, and this does not have to happen. The government of Israel could end the famine simply by ordering the border crossings to be opened up. Instead, far-right Israelis are protesting the tiny amount of aid that is coming through, actually trashing it. There's videos of that. I mentioned this last time. Since then, I go home. There's more videos of people trashing aid, food aid intended for women and children. And so I have to mention it again. Famine is being used as a weapon. You only do this if you are not distinguishing between combatants and civilians. You only do this if you view the entirety of the people as your enemy, even the children. This does not have to happen. The Israeli government continues to have no plan for how Gaza will be governed after the hypothetical defeat of Hamas. The only reason that they would do this without an endgame is if their real plan was just for there not to be Palestinians there. So when I was cut off last time, I was about to mention a social media post I had seen asking why the student protesters at Case and elsewhere were asking the campuses to divest rather than, I don't know, protesting at an Israeli embassy or something. And I think the answer is significant and might be overlooked, which is that the problems here are systemic. You don't see mass violence of this scale just happening spontaneously. Hundreds of thousands of people don't just decide to kill each other. This happens because there is a structure that supports it.
Jack Johnson.
Hi, my name is Jack Johnson. I'm from Cleveland Heights. Last Sunday, as many of my peers have mentioned, May 26, many of us in this room and across the nation witnessed the result of one of the most horrific massacres towards any group of humans in history. Palestinians were sheltering in tents in an area that IOF marked a quote-unquote safe zone, and yet from numerous reports, we can conclude that it was far from safe. Bombs were launched at defenseless people, creating large fires which led to Palestinians being burned alive. Many of us have witnessed the video of a man holding a burnt, decapitated baby. It's an image I don't think I'll ever unsee. This is what our county is invested in. On January 26, Earlier this year, it was reported that a Palestinian grandmother waving a white flag and walking with her grandson was shot by IOF soldiers in the head. It seems to be a pattern with the IDF, that waving a white flag marks you as a target rather than as not a threat. Even Israelis holding white flags are shot by their own soldiers. This is what our county is invested in. The ICJ and ICC have made it clear that genocidal attacks and actions must cease in occupied Palestine, and yet they continue to rage against Palestinians, cutting the people off from food, water, electricity, and many more basic human rights. This is what our county is invested in. It's not just Gaza either. Homes are being stolen in the West Bank every day, and neighboring countries such as Lebanon are under attack. Given how countless people around the world have mobilized for Palestine, and how internationally despised the so-called State of Israel is, and how much their actions resemble those of the Nazis, it is clear that to be on the right side of history is to stand against them. Palestine will be free in our lifetime. So as we write this chapter in our history, I'm not going to ask if you'll divest from Israel, but instead I ask, when are you going to divest from Israel? Will you do it now, given the unimaginable horrors we've seen, or will you wait as the death toll grows? The best time to do it was yesterday, and the day before that, and the day before that, and so on. Free Palestine.
Michael Conley.
Hi, my name is Michael Conley. I live and work in Cuyahoga County. I am also a member of the Cleveland Democratic Socialists of America, and I live in District 11. I want to begin with a couple of quotes here. The first from a, quote, motivational speech that was given to the Israeli army prior to attacking Gaza. This was obviously an official event. Quote, "Be triumphant and finish them off, and don't leave anyone behind. Erase the memory of them. Erase them, their families, mothers, and children. These animals can no longer live." The head of the Israeli Army's Air Operations Group is quoted as saying, "The goal is clear, destroy everything." And a number of parliamentarians in the Knesset, the Israeli parliament, have been quoted as saying that Gaza must be wiped out, flattened, erased, crushed, that there are no uninvolved, there are no innocents in Gaza, that the killers should not be separated from the civilians, and there is only one punishment amongst the whole population, death. Now, I could stand before you and read many, many such quotes for the rest of the evening, but we wouldn't have time. And we know this wasn't just talk because this has been backed up by well-documented actions. We have video footage and well-documented moments when the military bombed intentionally civilians in areas that previously declared was a safe zone, including over this weekend, when they bombed a safe zone without warning. When our descendants look back on this, there isn't going to be any ambiguity. There have been a lot of war crimes throughout history, but I don't know if any have been so well documented. And so I know it's controversial right now, but when all of your descendants look back on the history books, there's only going to be one narrative because it's the one that was documented. And you have an opportunity here today, council members. You have an opportunity to make your descendants proud and to do the right thing when it matters. I want to know if years from now, somebody's going to lean down and tell some little kid, "Oh, you know your great-great-grandma Simon, she was a council member and she did the right thing. You should be proud of her." Is that going to happen?
Omar Baez Sanchez.
Hello, my name is Omar Baez Sanchez. I come to the Cleveland City Council as a concerned Cuyahoga County resident. I'm a Mexican-American citizen, and I find it in my duty as a Mexican-American citizen to call out injustice whenever it rears its ugly head. I call upon City Council to divest from the $16 million in Israeli bonds and to please reconsider how much better off that money could have been put to use in Cleveland. The images and videos coming out of the massacre in Rafah are beyond disturbing. Rafah was supposed to be a designated safe zone for Palestinian civilians to seek refuge, to which we know that was a total lie fabricated by the Israeli government. The International Court of Justice rules this as a genocide. Oxfam report that the murder of Palestinians in this genocide is higher than any casualty rate in any conflict seen in the 21st century. We have seen clear and undeniable evidence, including the recent disturbing images of decapitated and charred bodies of Palestinian babies. We have seen the clear and undeniable evidence of how the $16 million Cuyahoga County is holding in Israeli bonds is being put to use, and we have all seen how incredibly immoral and unjust and flat-out despicable it is. Netanyahu and other politicians in the Israeli war cabinet have gone on record publicly dehumanizing and calling for the genocide of Palestinians, continuously disregarding international law and committing these atrocities behind everyone's backs. More and more, the world is waking up to the reality of where these politicians' real interests lie, and that is in the ethnic cleansing of innocent Palestinians and taking more and more land indiscriminately. Why ignore the International Court of Justice's calls on halting Israelis' escalating Operation Rafah, try to cover it up as a mistake when the sickening crimes against humanity are exposed to the rest of the world, and yet I'm still witnessing more and more reports on the death of Palestinian refugees, Palestinian children hiding out in tents after being falsely informed that these were supposed to be safe zones. $16 million in Israeli bonds. Cleveland is ranked third amongst U.S. cities in both child poverty and adult poverty. I can only imagine how $16 million in Israeli bonds could have benefited our community here in Cleveland instead of sending it out for genocidal foreign affairs. In Cleveland, we have a vibrant art and music community that could have flourished with a piece of that funding. The money that could have been used to construct and create amongst our own community through education and art is being sent out for an abhorrent amount of destruction and death. 36,096 Palestinian lives and counting. Free Palestine.
Basma Hamid.
Good evening. My name is Basma Hamid. I live in Cleveland. I've been in Cuyahoga County for 33 years. Block the bomb. Stop the evil and break the bond to the bombs that are killing children at all ages and innocent people in Gaza and Palestine. Start supporting life and freedom for Palestinians. That is a humanitarian cause if you have morality and consciousness. Let's work together to accomplish the goal towards building a new society free of wars and mass slaughtering of innocent people. The killing and destruction machine is being fueled and funded from here by my tax dollars and run by the vicious monsters of the Zionists for the purpose of destruction, the infrastructure, hospitals, homes, schools, and imprisonment of children and innocent people in Gaza and Palestine. I am sure that because you are a human, your morality is telling you to follow the human side and support life, humanity and freedom for Palestinians to be independent, free of occupation, and have the right to exist and defend themselves against the longest and the longest brutal, vicious occupation in history by Zionism from Germany, colonialism from Britain, and imperialism from the U.S., all combined together. diverse from investing in Israeli bonds. We vote for Ohio, not AIPAC. I call for a free Palestine from the river to the sea. Thank you very much.
Juan C.
Good evening, Council. Good evening, everybody. So, if you are...
State your name, sir, for the...
Yes, my name is Juan Collado Diaz, and I'm a resident of Cleveland and Cuyahoga County. If you are one of the citizens that is coming to the U.S. right now, seeking refuge, all that stays with you is a sound that sounds like this. That's what Palestinians are hearing every day. They come to this country, and for the past, month and a half, you have Americans celebrating early 4th of July, and all you hear is, Americans are great at destroying our planet. Americans love destroying our planet. Americans invest money every year in more bombs than most of any other country to go and attack other people. This council shouldn't have to do that. This council should not do that. There's more to do in this county than what it is to do in other countries. Right now, you can use that money to support the local Palestinians that are coming seeking refuge into this county. They may not have housing. You can use that money to support Mexicans that are coming to this country to seek refuge from their country and to seek a better life and found the American dream. But no, you decided to use that to support genocide. That, you should look at yourselves and be ashamed of that. Shame on every single one of you. Now, I do want to talk about the beginning of this meeting when you, Council President, asked for respect. I want to tell you, respect is earned, not demand. Where I am from, my mother taught me that if you want respect, you damn well earn it. One of your council people left. 2 others were there earlier, back there, having a conversation, and you were having conversations right now. 2 of them are having conversation while not listening to people. If you want respect, if you want people back here to not be screaming, talking, applauding, and you demand respect, well, you better give the people the damn respect that you're demanding. Because if you don't, you are worthless, and we will not give you respect. Now, going back to those bonds, make sure that you keep that money in Cleveland and Cuyahoga County where it's needed. Our homeless population is getting larger by the day. And you guys are not using that money to support those people, but instead, you are supporting genocide. When you go home, how do you go to sleep when you know you're sending money to kill babies, mothers, fathers, families every day? How does that make you feel? Does it make you feel good? Does it make you feel better than what you're doing here? It shouldn't. You should go home and look at yourself in the mirror and go, wow, what a damn shame I am to my county that I am putting money to kill people and then smile at their faces because it seems to you as funny over there. So yeah, if you want respect, if you demand it,
thank you.
Earn it and don't be laughing at people.
Sarah Fadala. Sarah Fadala.
My name is Sada Fadlallah, and again, I'm here at County Council to urge you all to immediately divest from Israeli bonds. I will never be able to unsee the horrors of what is happening in Rafah right now. The videos, the firsthand accounts, the brutalization that Israel is perpetuating is unforgivable, egregious, barbaric, and hugely sponsored by the United States of America. We, as Americans, we, as Ohioans, we, as Clevelanders, are entrenched and complicit in the crimes against humanity unleashed on Palestinians right now. We pay our taxes. Our taxes are used to fund Israeli bonds. These bonds are used to fund their military. Their military bombed and burned and mutilated children. We signed off on murdering children in their tents. Let that sink in. This is not a war. We are not funding a war. We are funding a genocide. The erasure of Palestinians, men, women, babies needs to stop. I am at a loss for why this is a discussion. Simple research led us to the discovery of Cuyahoga County's complicity in these crimes. Why is it a challenge and fight to convince you all here to use our money for us locally rather than throw it away on death and destruction? This is an unbelievable reality we live in, and I'm here to wake you all up to said reality and stress the urgency with which we need to act. Heed our requests, Council. The truth is here in our hand, and this will never be forgotten. Let's try and rectify the damage we've condoned for far too long and entirely separate from the wretch that is the Israeli settler apartheid regime. Divest all of our funding to Israeli bonds. Make sure this never happens again with our taxes. Save Rafah and free Palestine.
Justin Abrito.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Justin Evaristo. I'm a member of Cleveland DSA, of CPAC, and a resident of Cuyahoga County. So I'm here today, like many of the folks in this room, to express my disgust with this council over their investment on the state of Israel. Now, as I'm sure you're all aware of by now, given that you've had ample time to educate yourselves, since October 7th, Israel has been wielding its military might against the stateless Palestinian people, not in the name of justice, but in the name of cruel vengeance. Now, this bloodthirsty campaign, part of a century-long effort to eradicate the indigenous Palestinian people and to colonize their land, has left tens of thousands dead, most of them women and children, and left many more to the ravages of hunger, dehydration, and illness. And you, council members, are complicit in this genocide. By investing our county's tax dollars into the state of Israel, you are funding their advanced systems of surveillance, which they use to spy on Palestinians. You are funding their complex infrastructure of apartheid, which they use to oppress Palestinians. And you are funding their powerful military machine, which is unrivaled in the region, to murder Palestinians. Is this really the best use of our tax dollars, to help fund a brutal, foreign, fascist regime? Make no mistake, however small our council's contribution may be in the grand scheme of Israel's economy, you have tied yourselves, and us, your constituents, to their crimes against humanity. And history, as well as this county, will judge you accordingly. But even now, there's opportunity. There's an opportunity to correct our course. We could be among the first counties to divest from Israel's apartheid regime, to join in the tidal wave of support that has been growing in the grassroots of this country for the oppressed Palestinian people. After all, aren't there plenty of better places right here at home to put this money to work? Maybe invest in some of our local businesses, better funding some of our public services, or repairing our physical infrastructure. Even splurging on an unnecessary sports stadium like Cleveland City Council is trying to do, I think, would be a better use of this money. If you really can't figure out what to do with this money, maybe just give it back to the residents, and we'll find an outlet that is much better for this money, one that doesn't involve bombing children. So, our demands are as follows: an ordinance that explicitly prohibits reinvestment into Israel, a thorough report outlining the due diligence process that led to the investment and subsequent reinvestment into the state of Israel, and the creation of an investment review board that is to be exclusively headed by members of the community to make sure that this never happens again. Free Palestine.
Mia Brady.
Hello, my name is Mia Brady, and I'm a resident of Cuyahoga County and a member of Cleveland Democratic Socialists of America and a member of CPAC. I am here today to demand that the council stop funding the state of Israel, which has killed 35,900 Palestinians, half of which are children. Our demands are: 1, prohibit the reinvestment of county funds in bonds issued by the government of Israel upon their maturity or as soon as possible. 2, provide a detailed report outlining the due diligence process that was conducted before investing and reinvesting in Israel bonds. 3, create a community investment review board tasked with assessing the future county investments, ensuring they align with the values and interests of Cuyahoga County residents. Last September, the county agreed to create a Women's Health Advisory Council to advise about healthcare disparities and access issues for women living in the county. I find it baffling that the county expects us to think that they care about women's reproductive health care while simultaneously funding a state that has bombed every single hospital in Gaza. What impact do you think blockading 2 million people from accessing water, food, and fuel has on the maternal and reproductive health care of citizens of people living there? What impact do you think famine, which is a direct result of Israel's actions, has on people's reproductive health? How does funding a state that has killed 493 healthcare workers align with the values of a council that claims to care about reproductive and maternal health? In the past 8 months, 23 of 36 hospitals in Gaza have been completely destroyed. As a result, thousands of people have given birth since the start of Israel's ethnic cleansing campaign, many of which are forced to give birth in unsanitary conditions without medical assistance, and there has been a 300% rise in miscarriage rates. There are women undergoing C-sections without anesthesia, resulting in excruciating pain and lifelong psychological trauma. To quote the county executive, it is now more important than ever that we work together to tackle the medical disparities that exist for women across the region and protect access to reproductive care. And I agree. That is why the council must no longer fund genocide, apartheid, and occupation, and use those funds to support access to health care for families living in the county. Free Palestine.
Akshai Singh. Akshai Singh.
Good evening. My name is Akshay Singh. I'm a resident of Cleveland Heights. I'm a 25-year resident of the county. I'm a member of Starbucks Workers United. I was glad for the support that this body had for my union at some point last year. And it would be wonderful if you could heed our call for a ceasefire that we put out in October and put out such a resolution here as a body. That would be wonderful instead of reinvesting $3 million in Israeli bonds. I'm a soccer coach, and one of the key visuals that comes back, it's actually from 10 years ago. It was when 4 young boys were bombed while playing soccer on the beach. And the idea that those kinds of actions are self-defense. Right now, another individual is coming to mind. In Palestine, there's actual soccer leagues for amputees because so many people are bombed and lose limbs like people are losing right now and don't have the access, as you just heard, to anesthetic. One of the key organizer for that amputees league himself was actually killed in this last several months, and it's amazing to see the complete disregard, even of the government of Israel, for its citizens, who have said, amongst the families of people who've been taken hostages, that this is a completely offensive military action that is not about their families. It is not about those hostages. It is about taking territory. It is about taking land. And it has been about committing an ethnic cleansing that has been called the plausible genocide by international court. As I'm heading home, I'm just stuck thinking of, we have a county executive who swore in at the memorial for the Irish famine. It's a poignant notion. And I would like to point to folks right now of who right now in Ireland are standing in complete steadfast solidarity with Palestine. And I would note that the famine that's about to be and is being unleashed, I say is about to be because we don't have the numbers of the children that are going to die first imminently from the famine that is being persecuted upon Gaza. I would just note that it seems incredulous that you understand either what famine is or what Irish solidarity is for the people of Palestine, and it's a joke to have gotten sworn in at that location. Thank you.
Heather Hall.
Salutations, Council. Everyone, Heather Hall, lifelong Clevelandier, here with Party for Socialism and Liberation. I'm a biomedical engineer and an artist for my living. I graduated from CWRU, where I am now proudly banned after speaking out against their complicity with Israel's war crimes and treachery. As you may have noticed, we are watching the most well-documented genocide in history from the safety of our smartphones. As somebody who has dedicated their life to healthcare and uplifting humanity, I'm going to tell you exactly what healthcare workers are seeing our county investing in. We see medical staff targeted by sniper fire while they work inside of surgical suites. We see bullets raining down on EMTs as they attempt to cross the street, no man's land really, to retrieve their patients. I see doctors in Gaza sleeping standing up in crowded hospitals with their scrubs splattered with blood. I see treatment happening on tile floors because there are no beds left. We see stacks and stacks of hundreds of blue body bags and mass graves outside these hospitals, if they're even still standing. They might be just a pile of rubble now. We see patients undergoing multiple amputations without anesthesia. I see toddlers ripped to pieces, faces ripped off, charred infant bodies with no heads, and other horrors that will be burnt into my mind forever until I go to the grave. You should look at it. You should hear their screams and examine reality for yourself. If they can live it, you can at least look at it. Will it haunt you in your nightmares like it has for me? Make no mistake, this is not a humanitarian crisis, but an intentional, manufactured genocide. I implore you that if you do not understand this, to educate yourselves, like yesterday. And if you don't care to, you frankly shouldn't have your seat. You might notice on the seal behind you over there, you see the QRS complex for the normal sinus rhythm of a heart? You can see it there. That's because we know that healthcare workers are the largest sector in this county for employment. We see what's happening. We care. Any financial collaboration with an entity actively carrying out genocide is not merely morally reprehensible, but is a material, it is a measurable and literal undoing that all we in healthcare in this county work for every day. So divest right now, right now. Do not betray me. Do not betray my work. Do not betray our work. At least you can the very least you can do is divest. Bare minimum. Free Palestine.
Sarah Sesic. Sarah Sesic.
My name is Sarah Sesic. I'm a member of Cleveland DSA, and I have been a resident of Cuyahoga County nearly my entire life. I'm not as eloquent a speaker as many of the people who went before me, or probably the people who will go after me. So I'm going to start with a quote that really struck me powerfully from Aaron Bushnell. And he said, "Many of us like to ask ourselves, what would I do if I was alive during slavery? Or the Jim Crow South, or apartheid? What would I do if my country was committing genocide? The answer is, you're doing it, right now." When I was a kid and read all these historical accounts, I always imagined that I would be part of I would be part of the Underground Railroad, or I would be sheltering Jews inside my home. And not everyone has to do it. Some people just need to stop aiding genocide. It's such a small ask to invest in something other than Israeli bonds. And that quote just makes me feel such a powerful feeling of shame that I could be doing more. And if you're unfamiliar with that word, that means when you feel a painful emotion when you've done something wrong. Another interesting word is empathy, when you feel pain when another person is in pain. And I'll give you a little tip. When you hear people talking about their family members that were murdered, you're supposed to imagine what it would be like if your family members were murdered. Because all of humanity is a big family, brothers and sisters, hokey religious brothers and sisters in Christ. And I think that's it. Free Palestine.
Jeremy Koost.
Thank you, honorable council people, and I'm Jeremy Kusid from the East Side. I'm a Green Team Chairman for Sensible Movement Coalition. I'd like to thank my Councilwoman Sunny for your commitment to Adopt, Don't Shop, and VegFest, and thank Executive Ronayne for making Wade Oval an organic, pet-friendly lawn. I'd like to just address some domestic ecocide issues today. But it's not lost on me the severity of the extermination campaign that Palestinians do face, and I hope that you guys will take it to heart how it would be very nice to listen to Senators Sanders and Merkley about wiping away U.S. complicity in war crimes. I think, there's been a strong comments today about the rule of law, but, we face a lot of toxic exposures here. And Ohio state parks are being leased to oil and gas drilling and fracking. And we don't want to see our fresh waters drained and being turned into this forever pollution, the waste brine that we're going to be dealing with for a 1,600-year half-life. I think you guys have, caught wind of some of this. And how can we be letting this happen when there's methane gas leaking from landfills that's going untapped? There's progressive cities that are doing biodigesters at their waste treatment plants to generate gas that way. So there's a lot of good ways to work around this. But the Stanford University has uncovered that gas stoves are just continuously leaking toxics, whether they're on or not, and there's a class action lawsuit because of the increase in asthma and adult death that they have caused. I hope that you will all support building codes that say no to new gas stoves and don't stimulate the demand for fracked gas that's stimulating the demand for the Mountain Valley Pipeline to be built through Appalachia. I appreciate your attention to our wildlife and wild places. My dear friend she has a multiple chemical sensitivity. When the ChemLawn is applied in her neighborhood, she has to not be in her yard, and it's really affecting quality of life. In my neighborhood, we don't know what they're spraying, when they're coming. We're not afforded a buffer zone so that I don't have to, wake up to these smells or worry about if I'm going to end up a statistic like the University of Indiana has uncovered that 100% of pregnant women in Indiana have tested positive for 2,4-D, which we know is used by Ultra Lawn Company, and that 70% of women pregnant are testing positive for dicamba, which is used by True Green ChemLawn. So I appreciate your attention to these matters. Thank you so much.
That concludes the public comment portion for today's meeting.
All right, at this time, we will entertain a motion to approve our minutes as presented on today's agenda.
So moved.
Second. Been properly moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. The minutes are approved. At this time, we'll have messages from our county executive.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of council. I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the gravity of what was just said and I think I'll minimize my comments for you tonight and just keep it short. So I want to welcome Nishi Niroshimi Ngwala from Sri Lanka here today. She's here on 3-week fellowship studying matters of justice, democracy, human rights, and human trafficking specifically. I want to also acknowledge, because we're a day after our Memorial Day, just want to thank those that paid the ultimate sacrifice for our country, for democracy, and try to just always reflect on what the day is really all about, Memorial Day. Been some talk already tonight about climate. I'm proud that we hosted the Climate Leadership Conference in Cleveland this past week. We pitched it, we got it. We got a national attendance from several states and countries, and we held it at the Hilton, owned by the Cuyahoga County, by us. And 2 days later, I want to congratulate 300 employees at the Hilton who received the highest honor for their service, their work, and right out of Cleveland, one of 30 global distinctions. But it's the workers who made it happen, and proud of them, and want to acknowledge that. Also, keep your calendars open. We're going to be once again exploring the possibilities in the Veterans Memorial Bridge, a possible destination for Cleveland like no other. We've been fortunate to receive a $7 million grant to help further that along, but stay tuned. River Week, we will be scheduling public open tours on the bridge. Finally, I want to pay thanks, as I know many of you will, to Mary Louise Madigan, who's put in 30 years plus here at Cuyahoga County, and her work has helped pass several health and human service levies. She's worked in Commissioner's office, in communications, and in between with the Health and Human Services Department, and just want to applaud a 30-year plus veteran of Cuyahoga County for her services to the county. Thank you for your time, Mr. President. I am also, disclosure, I've got a niece that's graduating tonight. I'm going to try to make her walk across the stage tonight, but I did want to listen to the comments that were offered by the public, and thank you.
All right, at this time, we have legislation introduced by council. Consideration of a resolution of council for first reading adoption under suspension of rules. Can I have a motion to suspend the rules?
Mr. President, move to suspend the rules.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. The rules are suspended.
Resolution 2024-0197, appointing Corey Swaysgood upon taking the oath of office to serve as the Director of Internal Auditing of Cuyahoga County for the term July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2028.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Now, this item was previously discussed in executive session. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Consideration of resolutions of council for first reading and referral to committee.
Resolution 2024-0198, awarding a total sum not to exceed $10,000 to Ashbury Community Services, Inc. for the Digital Aviator Program from the District 7 ARPA Community Grant Fund.
This item will be referred to the Health, Human Services, and Aging Committee.
Resolution 2024-0199, awarding a total sum not to exceed $5,000 to the Building and Leveraging Opportunities Foundation for the purpose of providing 60 bicycles to Warrensville City Schools from the District 9 ARPA Community Grant Fund.
This item will be referred to the Education, Environment, and Sustainability Committee.
Resolution 2024-0200, awarding a total sum not to exceed $250,000 to CHN Housing Capital for the Down Payment Assistance Program from the District 10 ARPA Community Grant Fund.
This item will be referred to the Community Development Committee. Committee reports and consideration of resolutions of council for second reading.
Resolution 2024-0134, awarding a total sum not to exceed $10,000 to the Make Them Know Your Name Foundation for the Heart Health Program from the District 9 ARPA Community Grant Fund.
Feel free to speak to this item.
Thank you, Mr. President. Michael King, council staff. There's a proposed substitute for you today. This proposed substitute was prepared based on requests in committee to add additional dollars to this grant from various districts. The total amounts will now reflect $5,000 from District 3, $10,000 from District 7, $10,000 from District 9 for a grand total of $25,000.
Move to accept the substitute.
Properly moved and seconded. Any further discussion on the proposed substitute? No. All those in favor of accepting the proposed substitute, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Resolution 2024-0143, awarding a total sum not to exceed $10,000 to the Minority Organ Tissue Transplant Education Program of Cleveland,
Mr.
Inc.
President.
Opposed? Continue.
Okay.
Finish your item. Finish reading into the record.
For the Empowering the Future program from the District 9 ARPA Community Grant Fund.
All right. And we will make reference to the fact that Resolution 2024-0134, that this item will move to the June 4th council agenda for consideration for third reading adoption. And now the Resolution 2024-0143 has been read into the record. It also will be moved to the June 4th council agenda for consideration for third reading adoption.
Resolution 2024-0169, awarding a total sum not to exceed $20,000 to the Gathering Place for the purchase of a vehicle to provide services to residents of the city of Cleveland from the District 1 and 2 ARPA Community Grant Funds.
I'd like to speak to that matter.
Again, Michael King, council staff. Again, this is additional dollars requested in committee. This proposed substitute reflected here. The total amounts now will be $10,000 from District 1, $10,000 from District 2 for a grand total of $20,000. Oh, no, sorry, I apologize. It's $10,000 from District 1, $10,000 from District 2, $40,000 from District 8, $20,000 from District 10, and $10,000 from District 11 for a grand total of $90,000.
Is there a motion to accept the proposed substitute?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. And this item also will move to the June 4th council agenda for consideration for third reading adoption.
Resolution 2024-0170, awarding a total sum not to exceed $10,000 to the Near West Theater, Inc. for safety and security planning from the District 3 ARPA Community Grant Fund.
Again, this is a proposed substitute before you today with requests from committee for additional dollars. The total amount will now reflect $5,000 from District 1, $10,000 from District 3, $5,000 from District 8, $10,000 from District 10, $5,000 from District 11 for a grand total of $35,000.
Again, is there a motion to accept this proposed substitute? Properly moved and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor of accepting the proposed substitute say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. And, Madam, yes. Let's add Councilwoman Cheryl Stevens' name to this item. And 169 as well. And this item also will move to the June 4th council agenda for consideration for third reading adoption.
Resolution 2024-0171, awarding a total sum not to exceed $125,000 to the City Club of Cleveland for the renovation of office space from the District 3 and 10 ARPA Community Grant Funds.
Again, proposed substitute before you today for request for additional dollars in committee. The grand total, or the totals this time for this ordinance, or this resolution are $25,000 from District 3, $10,000 from District 8, $10,000 from District 9, $100,000 from District 10, and $10,000 from District 11 for a grand total of $155,000.
Is there a motion to accept the proposed substitute?
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. This item will move to the June 4th council agenda for consideration for third reading adoption.
Resolution 2024-0172, awarding a total sum not to exceed $10,000 to Case Western Reserve University for the National Youth Sports Program from the District 9 ARPA Community Grant Fund.
Second.
Any further discussion?
This is the last proposed substitute before you today. This is, again, to add additional dollars. The totals will be $10,000 from District 7, $10,000 from District 9 for a grand total of $20,000.
All right, all those in favor of accepting the proposed substitute say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. This item will also move to the June 4th council agenda for consideration for third reading adoption.
Resolution 2024-0173, awarding a total sum not to exceed $10,000 to the Literacy Cooperative for Dolly Parton's Imagination Library from the District 9 ARPA Community Grant Fund.
And this item will move to the June 4th, 2024 council agenda for consideration for third reading adoption.
Resolution 2024-0174, awarding a total sum not to exceed $50,000 to DNA Rising for the Foundation of Home 2 project from the District 9 ARPA Community Grant Fund.
This item will also move to the June 4th council agenda for consideration for third reading adoption.
Resolution 2024-0175, awarding a total sum not to exceed $500,000 to the University Hospitals of Cleveland Department of Ophthalmology, Eye Institute, and it's for the purpose of enhancing their services and diagnostic capabilities project from the District 10 ARPA Community Grant Fund.
This item will move to the June 4th, 2024 council agenda for consideration for third reading adoption.
Can I have my name added?
Let's add Councilwoman Conwell's name.
Resolution 2024-0176, awarding a total sum not to exceed $250,000 to the Cleveland Metro Parks for the Cleveland Community Sailing Center project from the District 10 ARPA Community Grant Fund.
This item will move to the June 4th council agenda for consideration for third reading adoption.
Resolution 2024-0177, awarding a total sum not to exceed $100,000 to Future Heights, Inc. for general operating costs from the District 10 ARPA Community Grant Fund.
This item will move to the June 4th council agenda for consideration for third reading adoption.
Resolution 2024-0180, determining to submit to the electors the question of replacing the excise tax on the sale of cigarettes for the purpose of funding arts and cultural facilities and programs in the county.
This item will also move to the June 4th council agenda for consideration for third reading adoption.
Resolution 2024-0196, supporting an application for funding under the Clean Ohio Fund Green Space Conservation Program, available through the Ohio Public Works Commission on behalf of West Creek Conservancy for the conservation of ecologically significant areas in the Watershed Divide Conservation Initiative in the cities of Broadview Heights and Brecksville.
This item will move to the June 4th council agenda for consideration for third reading adoption. Committee report and consideration of a resolution of council for second reading adoption under suspension of rules. Can I have a motion to suspend the rules?
Mr. President, I move to suspend the rules.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it. The rules are suspended.
Resolution 2024-0178, making an award to College Now Greater Cleveland in the amount of $1 million from the Cuyahoga County Educational Assistance Fund for Component 2 of the Cuyahoga County Educational Assistance Program for the period ending June 30th, 2029.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Thank you. This resolution was heard in the Education Committee last week, and we heard again how successful this component of the county's educational assistance program is, that our graduation rates are beyond the national average. Up to 70% of people who use our scholarships actually complete their college. So I ask for your support.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Consideration of resolutions of council for third reading adoption.
Resolution 2024-0131, awarding a total sum not to exceed $25,000 to Front Steps Housing and Services, Inc. for the purpose of sustaining stability project from the District 3 ARPA Community Grant Fund.
I move to adopt.
Second.
All right, I'd like to, I've heard this in committee, and Mr. Chair, I would like to, Councilman Sweeney is not here. Everyone heard about Front Steps Housing and Services. I can't, the Sustaining Stability Project. They've also received funding from District 7 previously for the electronic record. They're doing some great things. They're one of our county partners, and I ask that my colleagues please support.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
Resolution 2024-0140, awarding a total sum not to exceed $140,000 to the Ohio Aerospace Institute Great Lakes Biomimicry Lab for the Cuyahoga County Business Sustainability Initiative from the District 2 and District 9 and District 11 ARPA Community Grant Funds.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Mr. President, my colleagues, this resolution provides continuation funding of $140,000 to the Ohio Aerospace Institute for the biomimicry program to assist businesses in learning from nature to solve economic and sustainability problems, to assist life sciences students with workforce development, and to create an experimental sustainable roadway. The funding sources are District 2, 9, and 11 ARPA and the Department of Development. Thanks to my colleagues, Councilperson Sonny Simon and Meredith Turner and Director Herdig for your collaboration and support. I request the support of my colleagues.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Resolution 2024-0141, awarding a total sum not to exceed $284,000 to the City of Garfield Heights for the Park Equipment Upgrade Project from the District 8 ARPA Community Grant Fund.
Move to adopt.
Second.
All right. There's no discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I think it was yours, Mr. President.
All right.
You want to do it?
All right.
All those in favor,
Clerk?
I didn't hear.
Yeah, they all
Aye.
Okay,
did
thank
say
you.
aye. Feel
Thank
free to
you.
read the next item into the record.
Resolution 2024-0142, awarding a total sum not to exceed $2,500 to the Cuyahoga County Land Reutilization Corporation for the Mount Zion Baptist Hill Church Project from the District 9 ARPA Community Grant Fund.
Move to adopt. Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Resolution 2024-0144, awarding a total sum not to exceed $10,235 to Future Heights, Inc. for the Heights Music Hop event from the District 10 ARPA Community Grant Fund.
Mr. Chairman, I move to adopt on this. If you
Sec-
ever enjoy good music and the intention of bands who are just starting out to try and obtain attention, the Music Hop in Cleveland Heights is the place to go. Listen to a variety of types of things.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. The resolution is adopted.
Council President, clarification, please, on who's second. Thank you.
Consideration of an ordinance of council for first reading and referral to committee.
Ordinance 2024-0006, amending Section 704.01 of the Cuyahoga County Code to extend the additional delinquent tax and assessment collection fee from December 31st, 2025 to December 31st, 2030.
This item will be referred to the Community Development Committee. Committee report and consideration of an ordinance of council for second reading.
Ordinance 2024-0004 was held in committee.
Legislation introduced by executive. Consideration of a resolution for first reading adoption under suspension of rules.
Mr. President, I move to suspend the rules.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. The rules are suspended.
Resolution 2024-0201, amending the 2024-2025 biennial operating budget for 2024 by providing for additional fiscal appropriations, appropriation transfers, and cash transfers.
Move to adopt. And, Mr. President, my colleagues, I would like to make a motion to accept the substitute.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. President and colleagues. The substitute simply adds an appropriation for the $450,000 grant that was passed by the council a few weeks ago for the Blue Abyss project in Brook Park. I would request the support of my colleagues for the substitute, and when the substitute is acted upon, I'll speak briefly to the rest of the resolution. Thank you.
All right, if there's no further discussion on the proposed substitute, all those in favor of accepting the proposed substitute, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Mr. President, my colleagues, this resolution is the regular fiscal agenda of budget amendments. The answers to your questions to OBM are on your desks. This was a short agenda and the items are routine. Notable is the 5th monthly subsidy payment to the Adams Board for $3,416,667. I recommend passage on first reading suspension as substituted. Thank you.
All right. All those in favor of adopting the resolution on its merits as substituted, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Consideration of resolutions of first reading and referral to committee.
Resolution 2024-0202, adopting the annual alternative tax budget for the year 2025.
This item will be referred to the Finance and Budgeting Committee.
Resolution 2024-0203, authorizing the issuance and sale of County of Cuyahoga, Ohio Economic Development Revenue Bonds, Series 2024A, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Expansion Project, in a principal amount not to exceed $50 million, providing for the pledge of non-tax revenues of the county for the payment of such bonds.
This item will be will be referred to the Committee of the Whole for further discussion.
Resolution 2024-0204, making an award on requisition 13887 to various providers in the total amount not to exceed $1,350,000 for general engineering services for a period of 3 years, effective upon contract signature of all parties, for the contracts that are listed on the agenda A through C.
This item will be referred to the Public Works Procurement and Contracting Committee.
Resolution 2024-0205, making an award on requisition 14299 to Terrace Construction Company, Inc., in the amount not to exceed $7,670,965.81 for a rehabilitation of East 200th Street from Mohican Avenue to Lakeshore Boulevard in the cities of Cleveland and Euclid in connection with the 2021-2024 Transportation Improvement Program.
This item will be referred to the Public Works Procurement and Contracting Committee.
Resolution 2024-0206, authorizing an amendment to a revenue-generating contract with Securus Technologies, LLC, for inmate telecommunications system and maintenance services for the period September 6, 2016 through September 6, 2027, to change the terms by adding appropriation language for funding on an annual basis, potential increasing prices due to inflation adjustments, revision of Section 15, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $1,365,000, effective upon contract signature of all parties.
This item will be referred to the Public Safety and Justice Affairs Committee.
Resolution 2024-0207, adopting the Cuyahoga County 911 Plan.
This item will also be referred to the Public Safety and Justice Affairs Committee. Committee reports and consideration of resolutions for second reading.
Resolution 2024-0187, declaring that public convenience and welfare requires the reconstruction of Lee Road from Invermere Avenue to the North Corporation Line in the cities of Cleveland and Shaker Heights in connection with the Northeast Ohio Area-Wide Coordinating Agency 2024-2027 Transportation Improvement Program. Total estimated project cost, $21,040,359.
This item will move to the June 4th council agenda for consideration for third reading adoption.
Resolution 2024-0188, approving right-of-way plans, approving right-of-way exhibits as set forth in plat number M5055 for the replacement of Hilliard Boulevard Bridge number 08.57 over the Rocky River Valley Parkway and Trail in the cities of Lakewood and Rocky River.
This item will move to the June 4th council agenda for consideration for third reading adoption. Committee reports and consideration of resolutions for second reading adoption under suspension of rules. Can I have a motion to suspend the rules?
Mr. President, I move to suspend the rules.
Second.
All in favor of suspending the rules, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Resolution 2024-0183, confirming the county executive's appointment of Catherine Parks to serve on the Alcohol, Drug Addiction, and Mental Health Services Board of Cuyahoga County for an unexpired term ending June 30th, 2027.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Mr. President, Ms. Parks attended the Human Resources Committee meeting to express her interest in serving, and so I ask for your support in appointing her.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. The resolution is adopted.
Resolution 2024-0184, confirming the county executive's appointment of Kate McBride to serve on the Child Abuse and Child Neglect Regional Prevention Council of the Ohio Children's Trust Fund, representing the Great Lakes region for an unexpired term ending September 27, 2024.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Ms. McBride attended the Human Resources Committee as well to express her interest in serving, so I ask for your support in appointing her.
All right, thank you. And at this time, Zoe, we will turn the floor over to you.
Thank you, Council President. Zoe Toscas, the County Executive's Office. The proposed substitute in front of you just adds a reappointment term to this legislation. Because Kate McBride is filling an unexpired term, it ends September this year. So we would like to add a reappointment term into that legislation that would start September 28th, 2024, and would end September 27th, 2026. This just allows for Kate to serve the short term she's appointed to this year and then seamlessly continue her service on the Child Abuse, Child Neglect Regional Prevention Council for the Great Lakes region.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Yes, that was thoroughly discussed, and I believe it was brought up by one of my colleagues in the committee. As stated earlier, as proposed, I would ask my colleagues to support this reappointment and the term extension.
All right, all those in favor of accepting the proposed substitute, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. At this time, all those in favor of adopting the resolution on its merits as substituted, say aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it.
Mr. President,
Councilman Miller.
may I have my name added, please?
That Councilman Miller's now.
Thank you.
Resolution 2024-0185, confirming the county executive's appointment of the Honorable Judge Donna Congeni Fitzsimmons to serve on the Cuyahoga County Diversion Board for an unexpired term ending February 28, 2025.
Move to adopt.
Second.
All right, Ms. Judge attended the committee, Human Resources Committee, and she was very open. There was a lot of questions. Coming on board, but has been in the world that she has for so long. There were very poignant questions in regards to her feelings about the diversion center. So she answered them very well, and for me, and I ask that we support her.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Resolution 2024-0186, confirming the county executive's reappointment of Brandy Carney to serve on the Cuyahoga County Diversion Board for the term March 1st, 2024 through February 28th, 2027.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Ms. Carney also attended the Human Resources Committee meeting to express her interest in continuing to serve. I ask my colleagues for their support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Resolution 2024-0189, authorizing an amendment to a resolution number 2022-0132, dated June 7, 2022, which authorized the state contract purchase on a purchase order 2200-1945, now known as purchase order number 2400-1045, to the safety company doing business as MTech Company for the purchase of one replacement Dynavac Dynavac straight jet truck and 2 Qs TV trucks for the sanitary division by changing the amount not to exceed from $905,461.72 to $934,683.72.
Mr. President, I move to adopt.
Second.
Yes, this, Tom Mahavlich, presented this to the Public Works Committee last week. There was some confusion regarding previous resolution numbers. This had already been approved by the council. It was bid under the state contract, and as stated in the resolution, this will provide purchase of 1 replacement VAC jet truck and 2 TV trucks, and I would request support of my colleagues.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it.
Resolution 2024-0190, making an award on requisition 13820 to the Murphy Contracting Company in the amount not to exceed $718,000 for the Cuyahoga County Medical Examiner's Building Elevator Modernization Project.
Move to adopt.
Second.
This was presented last week also in Public Works by Matt Reimer, who did an outstanding job on the presentation and how this elevator is needed expeditiously over at the coroner's office. And I would ask my colleagues to support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Resolution 2024-0191, making an award on requisition 14113 to Anthony Allega Cement Contractor, Inc., in the amount not to exceed $4,456,756.61 for rehabilitation of Garfield Boulevard from Warner Road to Turney Road in the city of Garfield Heights.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
This was also presented to Public Works last week by Nicole English from the Public Works Department. This was one of 5 bids. This was the lowest and best bid, and I would ask my colleagues for the support of this resolution.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Resolution 2024-0193, authorizing an amendment with Medical Mutual of Ohio for stop-loss insurance services for county employees and their eligible dependents, and Cuyahoga County Benefits Regionalization Program participants, employees, and their eligible dependents for the period January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2023, to extend the time period to December 31st, 2024, to change the terms and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $1,934,511, effective January 1st, 2024.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Mr. Chair, Gloria Langford from the Department of Human Resources attended the committee to explain this item and the need for this stop-loss contract. As we have in the past, we've always asked why the time is late. The reason that the stop-loss providers need to see the full previous year's usage to be able to respond to provide a new contract amount. So I ask for your support of this item.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Resolution 2024-0194, authorizing an amendment to a contract with the Metro Health System for correctional health care services for the Cuyahoga County Jail System for the period May 9th, 2019 through May 8th, 2024, to extend the time period to January 31st, 2025, to add funds in the amount of $24,931,847 for a total amount not to exceed $110,915,111, and to transfer ownership of the jail pharmacy to the Metro Health System.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Mr. President, this was heard in committee. There was a robust discussion with the folks from Metro, and in the end, the committee recommends adopting this. It's a big number, but these are past dollars owed and future dollars for next year as we go into an RFP for healthcare services at the jail after 25.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Oh, we have one no, and Councilwoman Conwell. All right, all those, consideration of resolution for third reading adoption.
Resolution 2024-0129, making an award on requisition 12232 and authorizing a lease agreement bearing contract with Cleveland Superior LLC for the lease of space located at 1801 Superior Avenue in the city of Cleveland, anticipated to commence on January 31st, 2025, for an initial term approximately 17 years in an amount not to exceed $91 million, which includes but is not limited to rent, initial capital expenditures, management fees, utilities, operating expenses, and a general contingency amount.
Move to adopt?
Second.
Is there any discussion on this item?
Go
ahead. Go ahead. I'm going to ask the president that this matter go back to committee. Upon review, I don't know if council saw that there were questions that I had asked at the last meeting about this resolution. The answers came in and actually caused me to have more questions, particularly around an inspection of this lease. And I want to back up 1 minute. The reason, there's one reason tenants lease. That's because they're not responsible for costs associated with the building. What I found through the questions is that the county, after 2 years, would be on the hook through an amortization schedule to pay for any HVAC replacements and any work related thereto. We've never had a proper inspection of this building, and what I heard in committee was, well, we don't do that when you lease a building. Well, when you lease a building, the tenant's not responsible for these capital expenses, and I'm looking at VAV systems, HVAC. So it's strange that we never had, the answer was, well, we don't get a third-party inspection, but that people were crawling around the building, and then we have an answer who that was. It was trades and various others. But what I'm asking for is an actual third-party professional inspection of this building, the systems, including HVAC, and not limited to that. We know the garage is condemned. We know there's problems with the VAV. We know there's problems with this HVAC. When I got the answers back, I see that we're servicing that system quite often at the tune per month of $3,540. So there's no rush for this. I mean, the presidential election is in November. We already know that's going to be held at the site, the BOE site now. And there's certainly no rush to jump at this without proper inspection, review, and due diligence for a primary in 25. It makes no sense.
President, I support Councilwoman Simon because I believe that was one of my questions in the beginning in the first committee of the whole. Had the building been appraised or anything? Anyone looked at it on our point of view, on our side? And so I support it.
As the moving party, I'm willing to withdraw my motion. If it's up to the president to...
Did I motion that? Second?
You're the second.
Pull it away.
You're the second, so it's...
Pull it away.
So I was just going to say what Sonny said, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
You said it?
I withdrew.
I withdrew.
You withdrew. All right.
Back in your ball. Now it's been your camp.
Okay. With that, and we have 2 colleagues who are missing, there will be no vote on this item. We will hold until...
So it goes back to committee?
It has to go back to committee. Do we need to vote? Or I think the president has a prerogative.
If he has withdrawn his second.
Okay, I
and there is
withdrew my
no
motion,
second,
you withdrew the second, right.
We cannot move forward without a second. And there are clearly questions. So we certainly do not want to vote when there are questions. So we will bring it back to committee for conversation. All right. Let's move forward.
Resolution 2024-0166, amending resolution number 2023-0082 dated April 11th, 2023, which authorized an economic development loan in an amount not to exceed $2 million to Bridgeworks LLC or its designee to assist with funding projects cost of a place-based mixed-use development project located at 2429 West Superior Viaduct in the city of Cleveland, which will include 140 apartment units, 132-room hotel, a 120-seat restaurant and bar, and parking garage by extending the resolution sunset date from 12 months to 18 months.
And this is, I move to adopt. Sorry.
Second.
This is a minor change, just changing the suspense date from a 12-month to an 18-month. And will allow this project to go forward. The project had merit when we originally brought it forth. All this is doing is extending it another 6 months so that we can get all the details and things laid out.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it. Committee report and consideration of an ordinance for second reading.
Ordinance 2024-0005 was held in committee.
All right, we'll move on. Report by clerk on legislation withdrawn at the request of sponsor.
Resolution 2024-0195 was withdrawn at the request of the applicant.
All right, so council members, the May 28th and June 4th council meetings are scheduled back to back. There will be no committee meetings in between. Therefore, any items referred from both meetings will be heard in their respective committees the week of June 10th. The August 6th meeting will be moved to Tuesday, July 30th. As a reminder, this is the last meeting before our council summer recess. At this time, we will consider our miscellaneous committee reports.
Mr. President.
Councilman Miller.
Mr. President, and my colleagues, I would like to apologize in advance for the confusion around this particular meeting. After considerable discussion to find a workable date, we settled upon Monday, June 10th at 1 p.m. for the review of the county's first quarter financial report and other items. Then the planned tour of the Wayne County Jail got scheduled for the same time, and we switched this meeting to June 3rd. Then the Wayne County Jail meeting got canceled again. So we are moving back to June 10th. So that's the regular time that's in between council meetings, as the council president alluded to. So the finance and budget will be on Monday, June 10th at 1 o'clock. Thanks very much.
I missed that, Councilman Miller. So June 10th, take that off the calendar?
June
For the jail
10th
tour.
June
Take June 3rd off and
is the
move
date
it back
for the
one week.
finance and budget.
Okay, because you're not going to the jail tour.
And the
But
jail tour.
nobody's going to, the jail tour has been canceled.
It was just announced that it was canceled.
going to the jail tour.
Okay.
So if you're going by yourself.
All right, I'm not going.
Drive up and knock on the door and come home.
All right, next
Okay,
committee
I just wanted
report.
to get clear.
Next committee report.
Safety, June 11th, 1 o'clock.
I'm a little confused. Public Works is going to meet, I believe it's on the June 12th.
June 12th.
Yes, thank you.
And that should be at 10 a.m.?
Yes, I'm sorry, 10 o'clock, June 12th.
We didn't have anything in Health and Human Services for this tonight that was on the agenda, but maybe next council meeting will do that. And I have to check with the clerk, so if
Yes,
you're on that
council
committee.
members, you do have 2 items that will be referred on June 4th.
And there
meeting.
may be a presentation.
Yes.
So June 12th at 1 p.m.?
June 12th.
Okay.
Okay, what have I got on my list?
You have items as well from here. And so the meeting for you would be June 10th at 10 a.m.
Surprise me, do I have anything on?
You have an item that was, it was Jumpstart. So you have to bring that forward. That was referred, that was referred right before you went on vacation.
10th for economic.
Can we do both of them at the same time?
At 3
So I
p.m.?
don't have to go to Akron and come back? I'm on your committee. 10 a.m.
Is your committee here? Are all the members of both committees present?
Kelly is here.
Is there anyone in this committee that's absent? In other words,
Aren't you on both of them, Mr. Kelly?
Meredith Turner and Sweeney, are they on neither committee? Do they need to be consulted?
Okay, we'll work it out.
Work it out after. Mhm.
So if you
All
would
right.
save the 10th for us, Mr. Kelly?
Okay. So we will leave that unannounced for the moment, and we will hear from them after they have.
Oh, in
briefed their
addition,
comments.
Mr. President?
Yes.
The Community Development Reinvestment Committee, which
Yes.
had been active for a little over 2 years, our term of operation has expired, and we'd like to make a report to the full council body at a
Excellent.
work session
Excellent.
of the committee of the whole.
All right, we'll work on that. Any further committee reports?
I don't know yet when we're going to meet.
All right.
Too chaotic right now.
Any other reports after that?
Well,
How about public safety?
he said.
He already said it.
Yeah, good. All right.
And I can speak on behalf of Councilmember Turner. She does have items, so she will be meeting on June 11th at 10 a.m.
All right.
And then we have a committee of the whole on June 4th at 3 p.m. 3 p.m.
All right. Is that everything?
Mr. President, before we end, is it okay if we were going to conclude the haiku challenge. I know the mood is somber and a little off. All right, 2 more weeks.
I don't have one.
Doyle's
now.
ready, I
We
think.
also have a meeting next week, June 4th.
7 days.
Tuesday.
See, I told you, I don't even. Okay, so June 4th for Chief of Staff Janice, Doyle, and colleagues to do the haiku.
Haiku
And
challenge.
did it up.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay.
Okay.
It
Excellent.
still might be somber, but at some point we have to do it.
I can write them and turn them into you.
Okay, no, all right.
All right.
Thanks.
Well, if nothing else holds our attention, any miscellaneous reports? All right. If nothing else, our